What's going on, guys? This is DaWoblefet, and welcome back to more mechanics tests. Also, welcome back to copyright music strikes. Probably, because I bet Xenoblade stuff probably gets copyright striked. So rip me. Well, whatever. I want to listen to Xenoblade stuff. Last time we left off, looking at slow start versus body press. And we didn't even have to test that one. We actually knew how it worked, but we confirmed it for this guy. This guy was already answered by this Latios Rider fellow. Now, I actually, so I'm pretty sure I know who this is. I'm pretty sure I played this guy at regionals before, at VGC regionals, but I don't know, I can't imagine it's another guy named Latios Rider, but I don't know. He's been really, really helpful in the biomechanics research thread. He's been giving really, really accurate answers for a lot of different things. Thinking about putting him up for getting a researcher badge because I think he's been doing pretty good. And so the next post that we have to answer is this one, OP Stellar. So this one is misconceived. So this fellow asks, what happens if you use Throat Chop on Grimnay and Perish Body? Now, if you are a mechanics nerd like me, you would know instantly, that sounds kind of strange. Why would you want to know that? Because Throat Chop only works on moves, or minimally it did in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It worked only on moves for sure in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and test one of these for them just to rule it out. I mean, it's not going to be the case, but you never know. Might as well test this. I'm also going to test a few other mechanics simultaneously. So this guy asks, has Sosart been buffed? No. I've done enough testing to know that I know has been buffed. This guy asks, can you test Life Dew and ally immune abilities and doubles raids? First of all, raids, I couldn't care less, and you shouldn't either. Raid battle mechanics are useless. Why would you need to know those? You can just win with Zacian and Calyrex and stuff. Like, who cares if you what the mechanics are in Dynamax Adventures? I don't care. And so this guy asks, Life Dew Water Absorb and also Jungle Healing Sap Sipper, which is fair enough. I know it's going to behave the exact same way as it always has, but won't hurt to test. And this guy pointing out that, yeah, that doesn't actually work. Sadistic Mystic pointing out something with the this accuracy's toxic, so got that figured out. Talks about Dancer, which I don't care about. Magic Bounce, which it does. Someone else tested this. This guy talks about Psycho Boost. I'm trying to find this one as well. Yep. Does Future Sight activate Moxie, Beast Boost, and Nay abilities? The answer is going to be no, but I'm going to test it anyway. And it works on Broken Soul Heart. Yes, because Soul Heart triggers on Pokemon Faint, and Moxie, etc. trigger when you KO a Pokemon. But anyway, those are the things we're going to be testing today. So let's go ahead and get to it. So, yeah, I hacked a bunch of Neo Queens to do this. And where are they? There we are. Nido Queen. Go off, Queen. Also, this music is fire. I love Xenoblade. If I didn't spoil myself, I literally watched the entire story on YouTube. I've never actually played the games, so I have no idea how the combat or stuff works. But this story is epic. It's absolutely epic. Anyway. Also, these are all literally the same, so it's gonna be fun trying to tell which one is which when I do my tests. Anyway, finally, after 3 minutes of introduction, we can get into some game footage. So that's pretty good. All right, Dwight. Got some Neo Queens for you to look at today. Okay, so this is the Perish Song and Perish Body and Soundproof one. So this guy's like, all right, well, what happens if you poison jab this guy just off Perish Body? Will it not activate? And the answer may surprise you, or it may not surprise you, because you already haven't seen how they have the same amount of experience as well. Yep. Perish Body should activate on both of them now. Yep. Perish Body. Both Pokemon will faint in 3 turns. Oh, perfect. You even get to see Soundproof there. Yep. And both of them have Perish count of 3, and you can see they both have it in here as well, so it does not do anything. Shocker, I know. Okay. Next thing we're going to test is Life Dew. So this fellow asks, is Life Dews healing buffed? Do you get 2 Life Dews? or like you get Life Dew and Water Absorb. So because when you probably know this from playing Raids yourself, this is actually kind of useful because I did use that for my check moves done before move success. Excuse me. Because I knew that this interaction happened. We're gonna need a little more damage than that. Come on, guys. So I'll just damage them more than 25%, and that'll be enough. Okay. Yeah, it's not obviously more than 25%. Let's make it really obvious. I'll do another crunch. I don't need to do this, but just so you can 100% see it. Let's see, this one is below half, and this one's below half. So they both have Water Absorb. Water Absorb. Water Absorb. So if I use Life Dew, I use Flatter. These will only recover 25%, and I'll recover it using Water Absorb on both Pokemon. So you can see here, Life Dew. Heals your ally, then heals the user there. So I think it's normal. I don't remember. Doesn't matter at the moment. Anyway, let's go ahead and swap into my jungle healing guy. And my other jungle healing guy. I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'll crunch each other once. Now, both of these guys have Sap Sipper rather than Water Absorb. And so the question is, will this absorb jungle healing? Which I'm pretty sure it does. But we'll test. Maybe it won't. Because I'm pretty sure it's just targeting yourself. Yep. 2 Sap Sipper activations. Oh! Okay. Huh. That didn't do what I thought it was gonna do. Woohoo! New mechanic stuff. Okay. So that did, because what it did was, it triggered Sap Sipper, and it healed. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Should I won't like that. It triggered Sap Sipper and didn't negate it. That's not how aromatherapy works. Unless it negated the status healing part of it. That's possible. We'll try that. Ooh, this is interesting now. I mean, completely irrelevant, but, I mean, it doubles Hackmons or whatever. I guess jungle healing is slightly more optimal than Life Dew. Not like it would be good anywhere. I think floral healing would still be your best option. Okay, we'll go ahead and take all these old ones out. Let's see if we can find a status Pokemon. I want to try to... Toxic will not work.
Hello, this is DaWoblefet from the future. Yeah, so I had paused my recording because I had to temporarily leave, and as a result, I forgot to turn my mic back on when I came back, so I had about 50 minutes of footage, so I decided, well, I could either have 50 minutes of dead air, or I could actually record over it. And although Xenoblade Chronicles music is pretty good, I wasn't sure if I just wanted to let it be recorded over. Xenoblade Chronicles 2's OST is really awesome, and so I'm recording this not the same day, or I'm recording this audio not the same day that I originally recorded it, so I've actually forgotten the exact order of tests that we're doing here. I think we were doing the Life Dew and jungle healing stuff, I think we might have already done the Life 2 tests. Not actually 100% sure. You who have watched the video will know this. Look how many Nidoqueens I have. That's so many Nidoqueen. So it looks like I'm just getting everything set up. Once we get into actual mechanics, then I'll be able to provide a little bit more commentary on what's going on. Move all my Nidoqueens around. So I think this is probably after I had done the Life 2 tests and probably wanted to get into the Jungle Healing tests. I can't remember if this is the one where I noticed that Jungle Healing was behaving a little bit differently, but we'll find this out pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and use a Will-O-Wisp on my side Nidoqueen here. Recall that my Nidoqueen has the Jungle Healing move, and it also has the Sepsipper ability. By testing to see how those different pieces interact, we'll be able to see exactly what's going on here. So if I go ahead and I use Will-O-Wisp, and then I'll just use Flatter into this, where let's just kill its turn, just get everything on the same page. Good thing sort of looks at itself. Save a little bit of time there. I'm just going to go ahead and stay in, and I'll use Jungle Healing. Now, remember that my Nidoqueen does have the Sapsipper ability, so if I go ahead and I use the Jungle Healing here, you can see that it does heal my HP, and it does restore my burn. Excuse me, not restore my burn, it cures my burn. So that's despite having the Sapsipper ability. So I'm going to go ahead and re-burn this Nidoqueen, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch into the other Nidoqueen and test to see what's going on. So I'll go ahead and switch to my other Nidoqueen. Let's do the other one with Sapsipper. I'll damage my other Nidoqueen. So now I'll go ahead and use Jungle Healing with this Nidoqueen. Now both of them do have the Sapsipper, so we'll get to see exactly what's happening here. So I'll be able to use Jungle Healing, and one of the Nidoqueen's attack rises, and this one's heals. So you can tell that the one that healed was the one on the left there. But the right side one still took damage. So basically what happened there was Jungle Healing used it on the ally, and you can see here that it does not have an attack boost, but this one doesn't have an attack boost. So if I do it the other way around, and if I use... why did I do that again? What would I have done that again for? We just showed that. I don't know, sometimes I test things twice, because I have to think through it in my brain. Because I'm going to bet what I did next here is I do it the other way around. Yeah, because that one's now at +2 and that's still at +0. So that makes sense to me. So if I use, the other way around, I attack, and now I use Jungle Healing with this one, now the burned one will heal itself and it will restore HP, but the other side will get an attack boost. It's kind of hard to tell the difference here because everything's named Nidoqueen. A little bit inconvenient there, but you can still make out what's going on. Because now I'll show that that one's +1 and the other one's +2. I didn't show the other one was +2, but you already knew from before that was +2. So now that I've got that tested, let's go ahead and test Future Sight versus... like if you use Future Sight on something and then you have Moxie or what's the other effects? Beast Boost or one of the mega abilities. Do you actually get a KO there? So let's see here as we get this set up. It's kind of interesting to watch through the video myself from the sort perspective. I use Earth Power. I don't remember if I think I wasn't sure whether or not Earth Power would actually kill, so I used Crunch instead. I'm pretty sure Earth Power would not have set up the KO, so I could have used it and it would have been okay, but Crunch also works. I think if I remember right, this one I got bad RNG. No, I got good RNG here. On one of these I know I got bad RNG. I remember I got bad RNG. I don't like doing these sorts of post-com commentaries. But anyway, so now I use the Future Sight kills, and the Nidoking will be able to get a Beast Boost here, because that's what its ability was, and since its defense stat is the stat that is naturally the highest in the summary screen, that's the one that gets a boost from. I shouldn't say summary screen, I should say the raw stat, but same difference, there was no like, speed swap or guard split happening here, so. I remember this seemed unusual to me. I thought it wouldn't do this. I was actually kind of surprised. The reason I thought it was surprising was because there was a fellow who made a comment in the Sword and Shield Battle Mechanics research thread that said, no, this doesn't happen. So I thought it was kind of strange that it was worded this way. So we'll go ahead and use Future Sight. Once again, we've already maxed out this for the special attack, which is funny. And now we gotta do the same thing. We gotta set up a KO on it. So that one's doing significantly less damage because of the defense boost. So this is the one where we got unlucky, or at least I subjectively thought I got unlucky. So I took the Future Sight, so I just live with 1 health, which is unfortunate. So I have to heal the Nidoking a little bit, just to make sure that it's in range, so I can KO it. Now technically, by testing already Beast Boost, we should know that Moxie and the Nay abilities are also going to work, but this is just to be thorough. So I believe I just used Double Flatter here, because I just need to kill turns. I'm flattered that you're flattened. And now, Future Sight finally takes out the Nidoking. And with Nidoking taken out, you can see that I gained a Moxie attack boost, and so the only one left to test is As-1. And so this As-1 is the As-1 when combined with Spectrier. So it will get a special attack boost when it gets a KO like this. So kind of like last time, we'll go ahead and just play some turns, get some setup going. Now this should work just fine because we didn't get a defense boost this time, so we know that a couple crunches into a Future Sight will knock it out. I go ahead and I just go for Earth Power this time because I'm feeling risky. Because I know the damage of Future Sight, relatively speaking, now. And that definitely is in KO range. Last time it did over half, and this Rolex helps a little bit with its +6 attack. So I would just need to kill a couple more turns. So Rolex thankfully does not KO itself. And then Future Sight knocks out the Nidoking, which allows us to confirm that Gromnay will also trigger on such a scenario. And with that, I should not have any more need of testing exactly what's in here. So, what's next? I don't remember. This might be the part where I was criticizing the fellow on the Battle Mechanics research thread. Haha, it was me. Yep. Yeah. afterwards, now that I have the benefit of hindsight, this fellow was I think he just misunderstood the question. So I think he misunderstood. I think he meant like if it's active at all, does it work? So I think that's what it was. So I don't blame him too much. The next thing I believe I went off to test was mirror armor versus sticky web. I believe that's the next thing. So I think currently on Showdown, what it does is if you send in a Pokemon with mirror armor and get dropped from sticky web, what it does is it just immediately lowers the opponent's speed by 1. And so I wasn't sure exactly how that behaved, because several people asked me about this, and that seemed kind of strange to me. Like, the mirror armor would just always lower the speed by 1. That seems kind of strange, so. We've got to get all of our stuff set up. Yes. Woohoo! Thank you. You can hear this Frolix in the background. And I'm getting things set up in PK Hex. So if you are like me, what I do is I just skip ahead until the next relevant mechanic is active as I prepare things. Especially since I'm not actively working on it right now. I have no idea why I said to fill the dead time. Someone named Bluna, or Bluna, caught a Heatran. I don't really like Dynamax Adventures, honestly. I'm kind of one of those people who prefers, like, for in-game stuff, that it's usually trivial. I don't really care much for having, like, those sort of, like, rental Pokemon stuff. I never really liked the Battle Factory. It's just not fun to me to have to use somebody else's stuff. It's just like, I want to use my own stuff. Like, I want to use my own Pokemon. I don't want to use somebody else's. And that's just kind of always how I've been. And so I have not been a really big fan of the rentals. Like, I know why they did it. It's because otherwise you'd have, like, everybody spamming Zacian, you'd have 4 Zacian. And then, like, how exciting would it be to have 4 Zacian in every match? Compared to having, like, to use some strategy to it. And it also allows them to, like, because otherwise it would be utterly trivial for them to pull that off. So you have to have it so the Zacians are at, like, higher level or something like that. Or, excuse me, the target would be at a higher level if you did it like that. If it was, like, Zacian allowed. But anyway, now that we've got our Pokemon ready to go. Oh, I remember this one. This one sucked. This one was the Immortals test. And so the Immortal had asked me to test mechanic related to confusion. So when you hit yourself in confusion, you don't trigger berries. And this is something that I had known for a while. I don't know why I quit out, but if you hit yourself in confusion, you don't trigger berries. If you hit yourself in confusion, you also don't trigger Berserk or Emergency Exit either. I haven't quite figured out what about it, like, makes it so that a self-hit confusion is different. Because it definitely has to do with self-hit confusion and what we might call secondary move effects. So in the checks done after move success, I haven't quite completed my research on it yet. But I expect that Sitrus Berry will actually come up now that I've kind of seen the interplay between all of these things. Oh, I remember why I needed to kill one of the Milceries, so that way they stayed out of the way. But I remember at the start of this took me forever, because I made a mistake with how I set up my Rayquazas. I made it actually pretty inefficient. This took me forever. Or this is gonna suck to commentate. Yeah, I kept connecting back to the internet to make my adjustments and things of that nature. Anyway, so the Immortal asked a pretty straightforward question. What happens if you do so much damage with your self-hit Confusion that it puts you underneath the threshold for, like, if you use Life Dew and you don't heal above 50%, then will Sitrus activate? So basically think of it like this. Say you hit yourself in Confusion and now you're down to like 25, or like, say like 10% HP. And then you use Life Dew and you heal back up to 35%. Is healing enough for Sitrus Berry to activate? Or does it have to actually be damage? And so my suspicion was, okay, it's got to be damage. That makes the most sense to me. I don't see why it wouldn't be damage, but you never know some of these things. So I decided to test it. And let me just say that testing this with CPUs is really hard. Because when you do a self-hit Sitrus, if you get damaged again, then what happens is you just trigger the Sitrus anyway. So it's very inconvenient because the opponent cannot attack you. And I did not take proper precautions to deal with that before. So, added Present on here. I thought about testing Present as well because Present is kind of a little bit unlike Life Dew because it's like it's like a direct target of a healing move, and it's only 25%. You couldn't do this with something like Heal Pulse for sure, because then you'd heal above the Sitrus Berry number, and so you wouldn't be able to test it no matter what. Yeah, but here, this is me flailing about and being very stupid. So what I'm doing is I'm using Swagger on myself, and this is just a mistake. So I thought the Rayquaza wouldn't take very much damage from this, but I mean, this is a self-hit Confusion. It's like 50 or 40, I don't remember off the top of my head. One of those two base power type of move. And I gave these Rayquazas max attack and no defense with like Lonely Natures. So like they were like super like not bulky whatsoever. And Confusion is already annoying enough because you have to deal with having only a 30% chance of triggering it. And so like I'll just snap out of Confusion and then I'm trying to kill turns, so yeah, I have to like time it at a particular time. I don't know whether or not it would have been better to make one of these Rayquaza faster than the other, or which Rayquaza making it faster would have been better. I'm not too sure, because like if you make the I think I made it, or I wanted to make it so that way the Swagger user was faster. I think I ended up messing up. Anyway, so I finally hit myself in Confusion, but I just die, and so that's awful. That's really inconvenient, because what that means is, like, I can I can revive my Rayquaza here, but it doesn't really matter, like, because if I revive my Rayquaza and then I Swagger it again, like, I can only get up to +2. If I get any higher than that, then I'm just gonna die. I don't know when I realized this, I can't remember. I think it might have been around here. I'm just like, wait a minute. I don't know if I haven't realized it yet. I haven't realized yet that Swagger is a bad idea for this particular type of test. Swiggity swag, the game's in the bag. Swagger is a good move to use on your opponents. And sometimes good to use on yourself, especially if you have like Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini's so good. So you can see here, I deal enough damage to hit myself under 50%, but then Swirlix hits me, and I healed my Sitrus Berry. So it's not like I could have even set up the test with that, because like I can heal myself. Why did I stay so long with this? This clearly isn't going to work. I mean, this is the benefit of hindsight, but I'm surprised I didn't realize this sooner. So basically, this is just me flailing about for like 20 minutes. I couldn't bother to figure out a faster way of testing this. because like I have to heal this to just a very precise amount of HP, and if I swagger myself again, like you thought that was a +2 swagger, so now I'm at +3, so I have to like take so much damage, survive the hit, then this Swirlix has to not attack me. I said not attack the Rayquaza on the left, and then I have to use Life Dew with my Rayquaza. Now, in theory, this wouldn't be that hard to do, but it requires the opponent cooperating. And turns out computers don't like cooperating with you. So you can see this one, that worked really well. This won't trigger Sitrus, but then this Swirlix attacked my Rayquaza. And so I had to heal again. And I can't get any, like I can't have much higher attack than this. And you need to hear, like, me moving my controller around in frustration. So I give up, finally. I'm like, okay, this is a bad idea. So realistically, what I should have done was math it out. But since I was recording live, I didn't do that. So instead, I decided to struggle through it. And you have to struggle through it with me as well. Unless you want to skip ahead. If I were in this situation, and you were watching me do effectively nothing for already, what, it's been like 10 minutes probably, since I started with the swagger stuff. Yeah, I should have tested the mirror armor stuff first, because I remember this got me really frustrated. Yeah, and so I remember like, no. What we're going to do is we need to put the Rayquaza back in the box, because you can't do dynamic genning in your party. The reason I've been told for this is because your party is stored in RAM rather than like accessible in the ROM, or not ROM. That doesn't make any sense because you couldn't edit anything at all. I think the party is uneditable. Either that or I don't know how to do it. One of the two. You know, I know you can't edit the party while you're battling, unless you like edit memory on the fly, which I don't know how to do. I mean, I could try it, but it would be hard for me to do. Those sort of hacks are a little bit above my pay grade. Yep. And so now I changed it. So that has swagger still? No, yeah, I tried. I added Confuse Ray to this one. And I also gave it Follow Me. So my hope there was what I could do is avoid the second problem. Avoid the first problem of doing too much damage to myself with Confuse Ray, and avoid the second problem of Swirlix attacking the Rayquaza with Follow Me. However, although this was a better setup, it still wasn't perfect. I really don't know what would make this substantially better, but in any case, it's basically the same idea. Confuse Ray myself. And so the downside of doing it this way is I have to like get myself multiple times. And so at this point, there's not even really any point commentating. It's basically just me trying to set up this Confuse Ray. Like if I had hit myself in confusion there, that would have been so nice. Actually, it wouldn't have been nice because the Swirlix happened to attack me that turn, but you get the idea. So now I use Follow Me. If you could actually see it, that'd be fun, but you cannot see it. Oh, I bet that happened later on in this video. I probably ended up being the same speed stats because of all of the drops from Cotton Spore. But yeah, this is basically RNG at this point. I recommend skipping ahead. I'm actually not going to commentate until we get to something useful here, because I see no reason to commentate on, wow, I happened to not get it this time. So yeah, it just takes me a while to get to that point. But once I get there, then we'll have something more interesting to talk about. Alright. And finally we have something useful. So however many minutes later that was, you'll be able to see more easily on YouTube. But I still got my citrus berry. And it's finally time to use imagine if I hit myself in confusion again. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Life Dew now. And so all this was just to show that if I use Life Dew here, you can see I heal. I'm healed to less than 50%, but that's still not good enough for me to actually trigger my citrus berry. So now that we're already it took me like 20 minutes to get to that point. Now I probably could engineer a setup that would like take less time than that. Like technically it'd be nice to see what it does with present, but I really don't think it's going to behave any differently. So just like no, because I mean in theory, if I took like 20 minutes to get to that point, and present is a 1 in 4 chance, that means that I have a. I'm looking forward to another hour and 20 minutes of testing if my luck went just about as well. Now, to be fair, it probably wouldn't have been exactly the same, but you know, it's just kind of one of those, just like, do I really want to take it on again? And the answer was no. So, now that we are finished with that finally, we can move on to something else. In our case, we're going to finally move on to the Mirror Armor versus Sticky Whip interaction that I talked about it feels like a long time ago, but it could have been that long ago. Anyway, so for this interaction, rather than Genin, the appropriate Pokemon, I'm just going to go ahead and grab Gravity since I expected it to behave pretty similarly to what I would expect here. So this Palkia happens to have Gravity, so that's cool. Get to use one of the Palkia that I caught in the Dynamax Adventures. Grab Sticky Web. My Grubbin. Same pick of the Grubbin. Good Twitter account. I don't know if that account is still active. Got Magic Bounce. The reason I have Magic Bounce is because I need to set up Sticky Web on my own side. I want to make sure that that's how that works, rather than use Court Change. Because Court Change can do some weird stuff. So I want to make sure that there's no shenanigans in there. Might do some testing with Court Change depending on how those shenanigans line up. So I'm going to go ahead and teach this Sawtooth Skill Swap. Teach it over Peck. So I can just easily give it to my opponent there. Because I didn't want to bother, again, genning at that particular point in time. So I'll go ahead and save. Go ahead and skill swap, and we'll use the Sticky Web. So now effectively Milcery has used Sticky Web here. Grubbin takes out itself there. I'm going to go ahead and KO the Milcery. And switch to my Palkia. Just gonna Milcery off the field so that way I can't do like Attract or Attract is the most annoying one, but it also gets Sweet Kiss. Anyway, I've already had enough fun with Confusion for one day, so I didn't want to mess with it. So if I now set Gravity, but it's I'll go ahead and just swap back to Grubbin, and then I'll go ahead and click Gravity. If Grubbin happened to be KO'd here, it would have saved a turn, but I didn't anticipate that it would. So I've gone ahead and used Gravity, and so what Gravity does is it grounds everything, so that way when Corviknight switches in, it will be affected by Sticky Web. So let's go ahead and see what it does. We'll go ahead and swap into Xatu and into Corviknight. So I'm going to swap in Corviknight on the right slot there, because then it might lower the speed of the opposing Swirlix. But you can see here, it says I was caught in a Sticky Web and then nothing else. It didn't lower anything's speed. If I sent out for Xatu, you can see that it did say the Sticky Web message, and then it actually lowered Xatu's speed. So if I look at everything, you can see that Corviknight doesn't have anything dropped on it. It doesn't have any speed drops associated with it, and neither does the Swirlix. Which I thought was like really weird. You can see the Xatu, it does have a speed drop. So like the normal behavior is what I would expect there. So now what I'm doing is I'm switching into my, I'm gonna switch out into my Grubman and KO it real fast. So that way I can send in here my Corviknight again. Actually, I don't remember if I did that or not. I don't remember if I sent a Corviknight on that slot, or if I sent it on the other slot for Xatu. I had to go into Corviknight again because I wanted to see it without mashing A, see what it did. See, it says caught in a Sticky Web, and then nothing happened right afterwards. Which I thought was really weird. And so this is just me thinking about it like, huh, it didn't do anything at all. Well, that's strange. And so I remember I thought to myself, well, what happens if I turn animations on? Like does it, like what exactly is going on here? Like, the animation's off, seemed like it was like, well, it didn't seem like it was hiding any information, but it seemed kind of strange. So I'm like, it seems strange that it does nothing. Like Sticky Web would activate and then it does nothing. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn animations on. And then we'll immediately battle Dwight. So same thing, we'll go ahead and skill swap and Sticky Web. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm not going to KO the Milcery. See if that makes a difference. So I'll go ahead and I'll switch into my Palkia now. And we'll get that gravity set up. That gravity setup. And now we're finally to the point where you can switch back to Corviknight. So I'm going to do so. And so this time, let's see what happens. Sticky Web, this time in Mirror Armor, does activate, and it lowers the Milcery speed, which is really weird. Because Milcery is on the right slot there. Like, from Dwight's perspective, his Swirlix is on the left, and then his Milcery is on the right. And so that's a bit bizarre. You wouldn't expect it to be doing it that way. And so you can see here, again, Corviknight's speed wasn't lowered, but it was Milcery's. And so this one, I'm like, what in the world? That made no sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and swap out Corviknight. I'm going to switch it in on the right slot this time. And it was about at this time where I had a pretty good idea of what actually was happening. So if I switch into my Corviknight now, watch what happens. Sticky Web and Mirror Armor still lowered the speed stat of Milcery. And at this point, I'm like, oh, it's the Pokemon that use Sticky Web. It's just like how Court Change and Sticky Web work. So when you use Sticky Web and then Court changes the side of the field effects on each side of the field, what you might expect is that if you send it later on, like send out a Defiant Pokemon or send out like a competitive Pokemon, that their speed would drop and then your attack would boost or something like that. Well, that's not actually what happens. What it does is it checks the source of the attack, and Defiant and competitive say, like, if you try to if you use Screech on your own Milotic in doubles, then it won't work. You won't be able to get a special attack boost off of that. It doesn't work that way. Otherwise, you could do something like Parting Shot into your own Braviary and then get like +3 instantly, and then just like win the game, and then like your opponents are toast. But that's not what we're looking for here. This is kind of weird. So I immediately went for Court Change because I know that Court Change is going to get me what I want here. Not Covet, but Court Change. So it seems like it's based on the source of the Sticky Web. So if the source of the Sticky Web leaves the field, likely then Mirror Armor won't be able to drop anything. And I would explain why it didn't drop the speed originally. So like in our first test, Mirror Armor didn't drop anything speed. And in the second test, it only dropped the speed stat of the opponent. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to still lead with Xatu. We're going to go ahead and skill swap Swirlix this time. So if we do it this way, this should let us test by lowering the... This should always start lowering the speed stat of the Swirlix now. If that makes sense. Based on what we've just done already. And at this point, I'm starting to regret not genning in a Mirror Armor Pokemon, a grounded Mirror Armor Pokemon, because now every single time I have to switch into my Palkia, and then use Gravity, and then switch into my Corviknight. I guess it's nicer when you do things that don't require hacking, but hacking makes things so much faster. For these sorts of tests, anyway. Because you don't have to skip the, or you can skip the intermediate step. Because like this would save, switch to Palkia. It would be switch to Palkia, Gravity, switch out of Palkia, compared to switch to Palkia, compared to just switch to other. So you'd save 2 turns. And I mean, we've been doing these tests several times. So you can already tell that this is taking a while. So you see now, again, Swirlix's speed fell. So that makes sense to me. See Mirror Armor activating and lowering the speed of the opposing Swirlix again. Let's go ahead and reset. So we pretty well, I think, knocked it. I think we pretty well determined it. But we should be able to, like, remove any doubt by using Court Change. So this time, instead of leading with Xatu, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead with Cinderace. So I'm going to set up Sticky Web, and then I'm going to change sides. And then we should be able to test this a little bit faster. I wonder if I switched out my Grubbin on turn 2, or if I stayed in. I might have been salty, so. I did not want to. That's right, because I didn't want my Grubbin to die. Oh, right. I couldn't switch out my Grubbin because I need to check the source here. So go ahead and bump up my Grubbin. I also swapped the music here to Tragic Decision. One of my favorite tracks from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Excuse me, from Xenoblade Chronicles. So now that I've got Gravity set up, I'm going to go ahead and switch out into my Corviknight. And I would expect this to lower the speed stat of the Grubbin. Because again, the Grubbin is the source Pokemon here. And yep, Grubbin's speed fell. So now I'm curious, well, what happens if Grubbin is not on the field? What happens if it like switches out, and then what happens if Grubbin switches back in? Because we already saw with the Milcery, it just doesn't, like, you don't do anything. But is that because the whole slot is dead? Or it's just because the Milcery is no longer there? Same idea. So because Grubbin's left the field, now if I switch Palkia into my Grubbin, what happens? I don't remember if I switch Palkia or Xatu into my Grubbin slot. So I think I was debating here which way is the best way to do it. And here I made a mistake. My Xatu is actually faster, so I switched into my Grubbin first. So I don't actually learn anything with this. What I should have done was switch the other way around, but I didn't. And I switched to my Corviknight. So you can see that Grubbin, even despite after having switched in and out, it still lowers the speed of Grubbin. So that's already a pretty telling sign that this lasts even if the Pokemon switches out. Like, the Sticky Web just is assigned to that Pokemon. Like, it knows which Pokemon use Sticky Web. I'm going to switch back around. And this is just to make 100% sure and everything. Gravity's returned to normal, so I need to reset it up anyway. So I'm switching out my Palkia for my Corviknight. And as you can see, it is definitely not slot dependent. I'm still caught in a Sticky Web, but nothing to speed get lowered. Just as we might expect. You can see I don't have any speed lowered. So I'm going to switch Corviknight back out into the Grubbin. And I'm just going to kill a turn with my Cinderace. And then I'll switch my Cinderace in. Go ahead and heal my Grubbin since I have a free turn with Cinderace. So now I'm going to switch out my Cinderace into my Corviknight. And so now, even though Grubbin has been switched in and out, and it's on a completely different side of the field, despite all of these things, Mirror Armor knows who to go after, and it does target the Grubbin. And with all that information now, we've pretty well, I think, locked this down. We know exactly how it behaves. So, Mirror Armor looks at the source of Sticky Web when switching in.